This video is made possible by the following mad lads. All their awesome gear they supplied to me can be checked out in the description below. Hey guys, VR Driving Man here, and welcome to Dirt Rally 2.0 for the first time in virtual reality. The update for this dropped earlier on today, and immediately I thought, man, I gotta try that out. I really love driving in VR in the first Dirt Rally title, so I'm hoping it's going to be much of the same in this title. And because I seem determined to make myself throw up, I'm going to be really chucking myself into the VR experience by driving the Aston Martin Vantage GT4 car on one of Australia's more jumpy stages. So hopefully I can get through this without throwing up violently. Now you might notice that I'm using the HTC Vive and not the Rift that is recommended, because I wanted to see if it worked. Frankly, this isn't really natively supported, but it seems to be doing okay. But I have had to turn down pretty much all the graphical settings to 0. Some of them are still on to make the game look like, well, a game. But otherwise I'm running very low graphical settings compared to what I would usually run on a single monitor. But anyway, here we are on the start line, holding my 8 key because that's my handbrake, wait for the lights, and I've let the clutch out, and we've got a full start. Oh well, who cares? We'll continue anyway. So here we are for our first ever stage in Dirt Rally 2.0 in virtual reality. Very cool to be saying that. Great that the update is finally here. And immediately you're seeing just how intensive it is. It might not look the prettiest right now because, as I mentioned, I had to turn down pretty much every setting to get the game to run at any sort of respectable frame rate, and frame rate is very important in virtual reality. I can't stress that enough. But you're transported inside of a rally car, and when you go over jumps like that, you're going to turn in your stomach because your brain's expecting a big hit when you land, and the G-force of it all, you just don't get it, and and again, and I was saying this at the start of the video, just so make sure people actually listen to it. If it is your first time in VR, then I'd recommend not trying Dirt Rally straight away. Try something a little bit less intensive, because the first Dirt Rally title was the first game I tried in virtual reality, and it made me throw up. Legitimately. My body was not used to it. Nowadays I've kind of got my sea legs, so it's a bit easier. But back then, my word, it was scary. But I must say, it is so cool, as I nearly hit that bank there, to be driving in Dirt Rally in VR. Because VR for me is, well, it's, once you try it, you'll understand, but it just puts you in the car. Here I am in my Aston Martin Vantage GT4 car, cutting through the trails here in Australia, and just barely missing the bank, clipping it there on the right. And you really get a feel for that when you're in VR. Spatial awareness and how big everything is really exaggerated because it's all in 3D, as I'm messed that up somewhat. And I find that you can jump in to virtual reality and be reasonable pretty much straight away, whereas on the monitor it takes a little bit of time because there's not much spatial awareness in that compared to VR. Especially for something like Rally, where you're sliding the car through trails and narrowly missing walls. VR, I think, is invaluable, and also gives you a fantastic immersive experience. The clouds of dust being kicked up, even in these lower graphic settings, it really does put you in the car. Now, as I said, I am using the HTC Vive, well, you can see, the Vive Pro, and this, I don't think it has native support. I think it only really supports the Rift, but it is working fine using Steam VR. I'm happy to say that. I think some of the quality of the Rift is somewhat lost on this, because maybe it's optimized for the Rift, sorry. So the Vive, some of the quality of the Vive is somewhat lost, sorry. But otherwise, it works fine. Through the gears, fifth. Brake on the uphill here. You get such an idea of the elevation changes as well. They really are a lot more apparent in virtual reality, and it's great that it has finally appeared for Dirt Rally. It seems right now that there are a couple of small hitches with it. It took me a little while to set up, and I don't seem to be able to control any of the refresh rates or anything like that. I think the frame rate is locked to the lower frame rate than I would like. It feels like that. Either that or I'm not able to get the frame rates I want on my PC using it. It just doesn't feel very optimized yet. But it does also feel like it's being kind of just shoehorned into the game, and the game isn't built to have it. But otherwise, it's okay, you know. And you can't really moan too much because it's a free update. If you have Dirt Rally 2.0, and if you're fortunate enough to have a VR headset, then you can go and do this today and have a fucking ball with it. Bear in mind I am recording too, so that does affect the frame rate somewhat. But otherwise, it's just another fantastic immersive experience. Can't help but smile there, getting my ass in all kinds of sideways. Easy. It doesn't seem to be right now an option to adjust your view or your seat position. Well, you can do it just using the standard controls, but to reset the VR view, you have to actually pause the game, which is a bit frustrating. I wish there was a key for that. But these are just small things in the grand scheme of things, because it's just great to have VR in this game. Alright, there you go, easy now. Let's try and focus on the stage a bit. I feel like I'm much more able to anticipate the car sliding with virtual reality, because you get an idea, your body starts to kind of almost substitute G-force. It gives you an idea of what the car is doing. You can almost feel the G, almost. That sounds like a very weird thing to say. But your eyes are so convinced that you're bombing around the Australian countryside in a Aston Martin that it goes, oh, okay, maybe I should be feeling that, and almost gives you those feelings anyway. Being a bit cautious through here because the gates are very close to the other side, and I don't want to have a crash in VR. Crashing in VR is always scary because you get absolutely just. Sometimes you get shot off into space and you roll multiple times, and it can really do a number on you if you're not careful. So I always say that if you are in VR for the first time and you can anticipate having a crash, close your eyes, for crying out loud. Close your eyes and just open them after the crunching stops. That's what I do. Not the fastest stage through here, but again, you really do get a feel for the speed of the thing. Sense of speed's always a lot better in virtual reality than it is on a single screen. A lot better. He's down here, 3 right Titans. Try and pitch it in, back on the power, and here's that right. There you go. Occasionally hearing what Phil was saying next to me, because I am obviously just jabbering away here in the driver's seat. But for a free update, and I'm fairly sure it's free, I will double check, and if it's not, I'll put something on screen now. But I'm going to assume it is, I think it is. For a free update, this is, you can't you can't moan about it. You know, VR was never announced for the game, people wanted it, and they went and did it, so can't really moan too much, although someone will probably find a reason to moan, they always do. Easy now, easy, starting to get a little bit ragged as I get to the end of the stage. I can feel myself getting very warm inside the headset as well. That's a downside to VR, is that you are wearing essentially a box of heat on your face, which isn't great, especially if it's warm outside. Onto the tarmac. Ooh, okay. So I think we're too far away from the finish now. I think we've got another sector. If I look to the left there, I can just about see my UI. It's very zoomed out though. Kind of hard to see. Okay, easy now. I'd be curious as to what this looks like for you guys on the recording, because inside it just feels like the graphics are a little bit fuzzy. It's not very sharp. I think it's a good way of just keeping the frame rate and keeping the graphical draw down. Where am I going? I can't even see where I'm going. Oh, there you go. Ooh, okay, that was slidey. Easy now, easy now, easy now. Nice, and I mean, I just enjoy driving in VR. It's such a different experience. Everyone who I've ever put on this rig with VR, they come away just absolutely gobsmacked, and I'm feeling a bit of that now. I mean, I'm used to it now, so the effect of like, oh wow, it's kind of worn off a little bit. But this is still damn cool, and I would wholeheartedly recommend it if it's something you have access to. Coming to the end of the stage now. I know where we are. I know this bit. Watch out for the. Oh god, hit the gate. Oh, nearly, not the tree, not the tree, not the tree. Oh, and we made it. We make it to the end. Not a great time, because I was just trying to get through in one piece, but guys, that was our first ever stage on camera in Dirt Rally 2.0 in virtual reality. Tons of fun, would definitely recommend it, and for a free update, you can't really go wrong. Just be careful, as I said before, if you are new to virtual reality, don't overextend yourself. I don't want to hear about people throwing up, because this is something that will definitely do that if you're not careful, but otherwise, Awesome job, Codemasters. Looking forward to seeing you optimize it in the future. But guys, if you enjoyed the video, then of course make sure to hit that like button. It's my day off today, but I wanted to get this VR video done for you guys, so hopefully you enjoy it. And if you really enjoyed it, of course, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon, because that way you'll be made notified of future streams and future videos. Big thank you as always to my patrons and to my sponsors. Take care, have an awesome day. See you all next time.